reading slump lately. I don't really know why. Well, I do think I know why. So the last video I made, I had a bunch of books that I had just gotten and that I was going to read. I think I've read or tried to read at least 4 of those, and I think I've only was able to finish like 2 out of the 4 that I actually attempted to read. I think I've just been picking really bad books lately. I don't really know why. But yeah, so today I have 4 of those books that I couldn't finish, or a couple of them, I don't remember how many. And then I have a bunch more books from previous times that I bought that I want to go over today to kind of talk about why I didn't like them or why I didn't finish them, and whether or not I think I should probably give them a second try. So first I want to start with 4 series that I had tried to read like way back when. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called the Fallen series, this one right here. And if anybody knows this series, you know that there are a lot of books to this series. This is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 books. I don't know, there may be 7, I'm not 100% sure. So there's 6 books altogether. See this huge stack? So first off, let's talk about the cover. So they're all pretty much the same type of cover. They have the angel in the front and then the name of the book listed out. Like I said, they're all the same. Except the only difference is the color of the writing of the title is different on each one. Like this one is red, this one's like a yellow gold color, the third one's a blue one. Otherwise, I think is what attracted me to it first, because I mean, a nice guy with a nice body on front, and then you notice he has wings, so you know it's going to be about angels. The title is called The Fallen, so you know there's probably going to have something to do about fallen angels, stuff like that. And I have read plenty of books in the past about fallen angels and that kind of category, and I have enjoyed them. So that's what drew me to this series in the first place. And then of course the back of it with the synopsis tells you a little bit about the storyline. And the storyline is pretty much about this guy, teenager and high school senior, whatever, and he starts developing these abilities that he never knew he had. Gets introduced basically to like the supernatural world of angels and stuff like that, and he starts hearing voices in his head and thinks he's going crazy, and of course confides in a girl, and you know, a stranger starts talking to him about his abilities and stuff like that. And I didn't even finish the first book. I took my bookmark out, or I would have shown you how far I got, but I don't think I got very far in this series. Like I said, I didn't finish the first one, and I just can't remember where I stopped at, since I attempted to read this series a while back. But I remember what I didn't like about it was the dialogue. The dialogue to me seemed very forced between the main character and other people. I remember specifically there was a certain part in the reading where the main character was talking to an older gentleman, and like just the back and forth banter between them was just so off and weird to me, that's really what like made me not want to read it anymore. I know that sounds really weird. I wish I had marked it or written down like what exactly it was, but I didn't at the time. And also, like, this is a pretty long series. Like I said, there's 6 books. I didn't even get through the first one. I didn't even unpackage the last book because that's how uninterested I was in it. But like, these are pretty thick books as well. Like, you know, this is the first one, this is the second one, and they're all pretty much that same, either this thickness or a little bit thicker. So if anybody actually ever read this series, like, congratulations for you taking the time to finish it and read it. I don't think this is one I would go back and attempt to read again. It just really didn't really pull me in like I think a book should in the first couple of chapters. So, and it just, you know, just didn't seem like a good book to me overall. All right, so then moving on to the second series I attempted to read. This is called, let me show it to you here, Wicked, Witch and Curse. So this is the first book. This is Wicked Resurrection, the second book, and then the third book is Legacy and Spellbound. So if I remember correctly, this series, which is by Nancy Holder and Debbie, I can't pronounce Debbie's last name, and I forgot to mention the name or author to the first series I just listed, Thomas E. and I can't pronounce his last name either, so I'm not going to try. But like I said, this series here, Wicked series, from what I found out about it, this is a series that is quite old, and they redid the covers and actually put, I believe way back when, like when this series first came out, like Witch and Curse right here, they're actually 2 separate books that they combined into one for the new copies. And for the covers on these ones, like obviously like the covers is what really pulled me in. Like I think they're really pretty covers, and it automatically you can tell, you know, what they're going to be about. And they seem really interesting. Like the covers to me, I think they did a really good job. Definitely pulled me in. So with this series, this one is about a girl who, of course, is a witch. She doesn't know she's a witch at first. She finds out that she's a witch, and you know, starts learning her abilities, how to be a witch, all that kind of stuff. And of course there's a boy that she's just, you know, automatically attracted to. I actually got pretty far, I think, in this series. Once again, it doesn't look like I left my bookmarking here to showcase where I stopped reading from, because just like the previous series, this was a series I tried to read quite a while back that I never finished. The one thing that really put me off on this series, I don't necessarily think it was the writing overall. I say that, but then as soon as I said that, I remember there actually, within the writing, the one thing I didn't like about it, it was just not even the writing, I guess. It was more the development of the story. Like, I felt like, you know, we got introduced to her, to the main character, and then, you know, tragic accident happened. She, you know, starts learning about being a witch and knowing that she's a witch. And I feel like her character went from not knowing she was a witch and not knowing how to, you know, do any spells or anything that like that automatically to, oh, she's understanding that she's a witch now and she knows basically how to control all this magic type stuff. For me, the character development within her learning how to become a witch, how to do spells, magic, stuff like that, the reader didn't really get to see that. It went, like I said, from her not knowing to, oh, she spent, you know, so many months with somebody and learned all this stuff, and really we didn't as a reader get to see that. And I think that's really important for the reader to make a better connection with the main character and really get invested in her character and the book, things like that. So that's one of the things I didn't like about this series. The other thing I didn't like about this series was that it's from multiple different points of view. And once again, like, I don't have anything wrong with that. I just hate it whenever I go into a series not knowing or not expecting that. And I get invested in the main character just to find out, oh wait, there's like 5 other characters that I have to memorize and follow along with and stuff like that. So I think like the lack of initial development within the main character's background or like her journey really set me off and didn't make me want to continue after, you know, reading the book halfway through or whatever. I think if that development was there in the first place, I would have been more willing to invest more time in the book, even with the different points of view. Even talking about it now, like, I don't think the overall storyline is bad. Like, it was interesting. It was just those little things here and there that really just kind of pushed me off. So this is definitely one series I don't think I would necessarily get rid of. I might come back around to it, like if I didn't have anything else to read and I wanted to read something. So it's definitely one series I would put to the side, you know, for rainy day, some other day that I might be interested in reading. So once again, that was the Wicked series right here. All right, so the next one is called, here we go, how to get them in order. So the next one is called The Haunting of Sunshine Girl. And if some of you guys are big into YouTube and web series and stuff like that, you can see on the bottom here, each one has this. It says, based on the YouTube web series phenomenon. I have never seen the series that it's talking about. I've never watched the YouTuber that it's talking about. I just saw these books at the bookstore and I was like, okay, you know, those look kind of interesting. So the first one is The Haunting of Sunshine Girl here. Second one is A Sacrifice of Sunshine Girl. Third one is The Awakening of Sunshine Girl. And these ones were written by Paige McKenzie. I actually think she had some help with writing it from an actual author or something like that. I can't remember exactly what I read about it, but I think it was something along those lines. So as you guys can see, like the covers, if you've seen my other videos, you know I don't really like covers that have like people, or I think I said faces before, like this is an actual like person, like you get to see their whole body, but I think it's done nicely. I don't think it's bad or anything. I especially like this one, you know. And the covers definitely make it seem really interesting, and once again, that's what pulled me in initially. But this story is about a girl who moves into a house, and it turns out to be like a haunted house, I believe. And you know, she's got the haunted house, or the evil spirit or whatever it is in the house is like trying to like take her mom or kill her mom or threaten her mom and her, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly. Kind of like the typical storyline for like a haunting in books, I feel like, that are YA books. This one I didn't get very far in either. I didn't even make it past the first book. I think I made it like maybe halfway through before I was like, no, this is not for me. The writing, I think, could have been... The writing, I thought, you know, wasn't bad, but didn't feel like it was great either. Storyline, I'm sure didn't seem like it was going to be horrible or anything. I think the biggest thing for me is it seemed like it was more geared towards younger adults. And I know like YA, like young adult, like, you know, who else would be reading other than young adults? I think there's this misconception with young adult books. I feel like a lot of them are geared more towards like super young adults, like preteens or teenagers. And I mean, honestly, as you guys know, if you read YA, a lot of the characters in the books are typically the ages 16 to 18. I don't really know why that is, because if you Google search and find the definition of young adult, I think it's like ages like 18 to 22. And if you can find a young adult book that has a 20-year-old or 22, 21-year-old in it, please let me know, because I'd be interested in reading it. So, as I was saying before I got sidetracked on that little tangent, I really honestly felt like it was geared more towards like 15, 16, maybe even like 14-year-olds versus, you know, kind of what I was wanting or what I was expecting. So that was my biggest thing. I just was like, no, like this is obviously, the writing of it just seems like it's for a much, much younger audience. So I couldn't put myself through that. So if anybody's ever watched a movie that you thought was more mature, or supposed to be more mature, and then you watched it and realized, no, this is for like kids, like, you know what I'm getting at. So then the third series I tried reading, which I think I might be missing one in the series. It's called Halo. This one is by Alexander Ordinetto. And I don't remember, I might have already talked about this one in another video, so I apologize if I have. Because I feel like I said that name before. So if I have, I'm sorry. It's a repeat of what I've probably already said. So here's the first one. So right away you already know it's going to be about angels because there's the wings. Second book, you can see wings as well. So you already know it's going to be about angels. And this series is about an angel. There's a trio of them. It's supposed to be her, Gabriel, who we all, you know the name Gabriel, the warrior angel, and then another angel, and then her. She's like the youngest angel. This is her first mission, because they all came down to do a mission, and they're supposed to like save the planet or save the city that they are in, something along those lines. But basically she's the youngest angel, and she meets a boy, of course. You know, what else are you to expect in YA? She basically falls in love and starts, you know, experiencing all these human emotions that angels aren't supposed to have or experience or get caught up in. And this one, I think I got like halfway through the first book, once again like the others, and just decided, no, I can't finish this series and feel like I have not wasted my time reading it. I can't even remember exactly why I just didn't like it. I don't think the writing was necessarily horrible. I think it was just more like religious based than I was anticipating. Not that there's like an overly abundant like religious aspects or things added to it. I don't know, just the character and her development too, like the character's development I felt was like I don't know, it was just weird. I don't know what to tell you about this one. didn't like it for whatever reason. I can't even pinpoint it. I just didn't. Okay, so those are the last of the ones that I had started reading and couldn't read like a while ago. So then we'll look to 3 books and 1 series, or 2 books, I'm sorry, in 1 series from the previous video that I actually did read or attempted to read. We'll leave the series for last, and I'll start off with one of the single just books. So The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. I believe I talked about this one in the last video. If I didn't, I apologize. But this one here, cover wise, I think it's super pretty. I love all the reds and the different shades of red on there. The designs with the flowers and stuff. It makes it look very like not mystical, but like makes it seem very like mysterious. That's the word I'm looking for. Makes it seem very mysterious, I feel like, with the design that it has in the clock face. So this one I got, once again, I didn't leave my marker in there to show, but it didn't get very far. And I honestly looked up like reviews and stuff about the books, and there was like a lot of mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people hated it. So this book is supposed to be about some like ancient elite academy and a guy that went to school there and a girl or something like that, and like come to find out like the girl, or the guy, the main character is a guy, I believe, or I actually think it's from 2 points of view, actually, from the girl and from the guy. And the guy like had went to school there when he was younger, and he's going back to visit or something, and then the girl like grew up there as a servant or a maid or something like that, and she basically kind of like lives in the walls or lives in the attic. I don't know, it's really weird, and like, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't finish the series. I just thought it was super, or this book, sorry, I didn't finish the books. I thought it was super slow paced, and the dialogue didn't really draw me in. Honestly, there wasn't even that much dialogue to begin with in the first couple of chapters. And that's one of the things that I didn't like, because I want there, when I'm reading, you know, I want there to be interaction between characters and not just like a long drawn out like monologue of like this person's inner thoughts and stuff like that. So that was really the biggest, I think, thing that like made me not want to finish it, and also just because I felt like it was super slow, and I was just like, this is a book I feel like I'm going to take forever to read, and I'm going to feel like I wasted my time on it. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that one. So the next one, which is no, not the last one, sorry, because I still have the series to go. So this next one is called Strange Grace, which I know I talked about in the last video. So cover wise, once again, which I talked about in the last video, I do like it. The colors, the red and purple together, and the tree also makes it, and the writing make it seem kind of mysterious. So Strange Grace, this one was by Tessa Gratton. This book, sorry, I keep saying series. This book was is about, I don't know, I didn't finish it. But the synopsis says it's about this village who basically sacrifices people or kids to the forest so that their village can prosper and stuff like that. There's no illness, no sickness, you know, they always have plenty of food, things like that. And basically one of the years that they offer up somebody, and one of the cows starts getting sick, which is unheard of, right? Because the whole point of the offerings for the sacrifices is so they have wealth and clean health and all that kind of stuff. So one of the cows gets sick, and I guess like the main character and some of her friends go off to like figure out what's going on. At least that's kind of what the synopsis sounds like it's about, but I did not finish it. I don't even think I got past like the first 30 pages, honestly. Kind of like the other series, the other series I was talking about the Sunshine Girl series. I felt like it was geared towards younger adult, like much younger adults, like teenagers or like preteens. And I also felt like the main character she seemed a lot younger than I think she was supposed to be. Like there was a whole lot that was going to be going on in the book or happening within the book. So that was another reason. And kind of once again, like with the other series or the other book I was just talking, the previous book, The Betrayals, there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue happening either in the first couple pages that I read. I know I say only like first couple pages, but I read, I think it was like at least 20 pages, and there just wasn't a lot going on, and I was like, nope. That combined with feeling like the main character is like 13 and feeling like, you know, it's just geared towards younger ages, I just couldn't finish it. So I'm sure it's an awesome book. I'm sure it's not bad for somebody who is, you know, was prepared for that, but not for me. So the final series I read, this is actually a series. It's the one by Kathryn Purdie, Burning Glass series. So this is the first one, Burning Glass. Second one is Crystal Blade. And the last one is Frozen Rain. So this one I did get pretty far in. I finished the first one, and actually, as you can see, my nice little bookmark there, I got about that much done of the second one before I tapped out. So in the last video, as you know, if you watched it, we went over the cover, so I'm not going to talk about the covers on this one because there is 3 extra books. I'm sure nobody wants to hear me repeat myself. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. So this one, this is the farthest I got out of all these books before I was like, no, I can't do it anymore. This series actually had a really good premise, I thought, of what it was going to be about. So the main character in this series, she can feel people's emotions and she experiences their emotion. Let me see what it actually says, because yeah, okay, yep, that's it. She has a gift where she can feel whatever people around her are feeling, physically and emotionally. So if somebody is super hungry, like they're starving, right, like legit starving, she feels that, and it basically overwhelms her. She can feel it physically and emotionally. So this book is about a girl who has this gift I just talked about, and she's evaded the throne and the king, not the throne, but she's evaded the king of the country that she lives in, because she's been living with gypsies who have been hiding her, and she's been doing this for 16 years, and then eventually they find her. She has to go to this schooling for people like her, which are called overseers, and to like hone in her skills so that they don't overpower her, because because those who have that gift, like I was saying, they feel it physically and emotionally. So basically, if you can't control it, it overwhelms you and you become that emotion, basically. Like we were talking about starvation, like she would become that emotion. That's all she could think about was, you know, how could she get food? What can she do to relieve this pain of the starvation? So she goes to the school. And this is where it gets me, right? So it kind of tells us a little bit about her backstory, but doesn't give us a whole lot about it. We kind of just learn things as she like randomly throws it out talking to somebody, like, oh, well, you know, her inner dialogue, like, oh, my parents died and I've been with the gypsies, and doesn't really give us a whole lot of background necessarily before bam, like a huge devastation type thing happens, and she ends up having to go to next to the king, who's, you know, like a year or two older than her, of course, right, who has a younger brother that's near her age, of course, and like so basically she has to go there because she's an overseer, so she can feel other people's feelings. So the reason why the king has always had an overseer next to him is because they can feel when danger's around, right? Like that's the perfect thing, you know, if you feel like you're always in constant danger, why not have somebody there who can feel that danger and alert you to that danger and possibly save your life because they can feel that. So it's kind of like how the story goes around, like, you know, how she falls in love with one of the prince, or with the king or the prince, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to actually read it. And the reason why I didn't like the book was because I felt like there wasn't enough character development, and I felt like her love interest happened too quickly. Like we don't really get to see any of that development happen. It's just like, oh, I meet you once and I like you, and then like, oh my gosh, we're in love type of thing. And I also felt like the character, she's supposed to be like 17 or whatever, or yeah, I think 17. And she just seems like much more immature than what her age is. And maybe like through the series you see her develop more into her age maybe, but like, I don't know, it just was not good for me, from the way that her maturity level at the beginning of the series, and then even as like the book progressed into the second book, she was still acting like you know, like a 14-year-old type of thing. So not that there's anything wrong with 14-year-olds. Nothing wrong at all about that. But when you are writing a character that's supposed to be like 17, there are certain things I feel like that character should have, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was the last one. So just to recap those 7 books, I think the only one I would possibly think about going back and reading is the Wicked series. This one right here, Wicked. That would probably be the only one I would be interested in keeping and actually trying to revisit later on when I had nothing else to read. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys, and hopefully I'll be able to start reading some more. I'm planning on trying to read actually later on today, so we'll see how that goes, see how, you know, how far along I get, and hopefully be able to make another video here soon.